Ubisoft has faced major challenges in recent months, including a sweeping restructuring announced in January 2026 that canceled 6 games, including Prince of Persia: Sands of Time remake, which led to studio closures, layoffs, and a full 5-day-a-week return to office mandate. This last one forced a lot of employees to start protesting, as you can see from this photo here. This is a group of protesters in France. And this is another photo of those protesters. In early February 2026, over 1,200 employees in France and elsewhere went on strike to protest these changes, with unions calling for CEO Yves Guillemot to step down. Amid this, Vantage Studios, a Tencent-backed design house overseeing Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Rainbow Six, has co-CEOs, a longtime veteran Christophe Derenez, and Charlie Guillemot, the son of Yves Guillemot, a 13-year Ubisoft veteran, publicly questioned aspects of company direction, including the appointment, and was terminated shortly thereafter. On February 20th, Yves Guillemot addressed these issues directly in interviews, defending the family heritage approach and the leadership choices. Today, I'm going to break down the key facts and some of the timeline of events, some direct quotes from the involved parties, and Charlie Guillemot's background and Ubisoft's stated reasoning, and what this means for the future of these franchises and Ubisoft as a whole. And if this is the kind of industry updates you guys are interested in, hit like and subscribe, and make sure to turn on notifications. Now let's plug in here and get into it. Ubisoft has faced significant challenges recently, including major restructuring announced in January 2026. This included canceling 6 games, such as the Prince of Persia remake, and the closing or merging of studios, layoffs, voluntary departures, and a company-wide 5-day-a-week return to office mandate. In this article, the Ubisoft CEO tries to justify the massive layoffs. Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot has attempted to explain the company's recent push for a further 200 million euros or $235 million in cost reductions, which has led to mass layoffs and a spate of game cancellations recently. Guillemot said the video game industry overall grew very well coming out of COVID, with people anticipating that momentum for gaming generated during the pandemic would be sustained. However, this did not fully materialize, Guillemot said. For Ubisoft specifically, Guillemot said this anticipation for future returns led to too many projects and increased complexity. And now Ubisoft is making major cuts. The latest of the layoffs hit Ubisoft Toronto, but the team's Splinter Cell remake remains in development. Our priority today is to build a more focused, agile company with stronger teams that strike the right balance between senior expertise and young talent, and who are well positioned to deliver the highest quality games, he said. The executive went on to say that Ubisoft is trying to navigate the cost reductions as thoughtfully and responsibly as possible. Beyond layoffs, Ubisoft is reducing certain expenses, adjusting or stopping projects where necessary, improving production processes, and making more effective use of our tools, Guillemot said. The upheaval at Ubisoft has prompted developers to go on strike, with a labor union calling for Guillemot to resign. In January, Ubisoft announced that it had canceled 6 games and delayed 7 others, while closing 2 Ubisoft studios and conducting rounds of layoffs across the company. This was part of a wider strategic reset and reorganization of the company around 5 different creative houses. What's more, Ubisoft made a $1 billion deal with Tencent to position itself for the future. The Prince of Persia remake was among those games that got canceled, and one of the delayed games is rumored to be the heavily leaked Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag remake. In the same interview, Guillemot said 2 new Far Cry games are coming, along with more Assassin's Creed games. Additionally, he said Ubisoft is developing new IPs. In early February 2026, over 1,200 employees in France went on strike, with unions criticizing the changes and calling for Yves Guillemot to resign. Unions have highlighted concerns about leadership, including a lack of diversity at the top and nepotism. And all of this has led to things like this, where the stock has dropped a huge amount to where it's just barely at a right below $1. It's about 93 cents. This occurred against the backdrop of Vantage Studios, a 10-cent-backed subsidiary launched in 2025 and made operational in late 2025 or earlier this year, 2026. Vantage Studios oversees development and expansion of 3 major franchises: Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Rainbow Six, and it has hired on these co-CEOs. In July 2025, Ubisoft announced 2 co-CEOs for Vantage Studios, Christophe Derenez, and a longtime Ubisoft veteran with over 35 years at the company. Co-founder of Ubisoft Montreal and former managing director for North America, and Charlie Guillemot, son of CEO Yves Guillemot. Charlie Guillemot began his career at Ouliant, a studio Ubisoft acquired back in 2014, where he served as studio head. He later left Ubisoft, co-founded Unagi, which was focused on Web3, NFTs, and AI, and worked on the mobile title Tom Clancy's Elite Squad, which was shut down. He rejoined Ubisoft, leading up to this role that he's currently in now. Charlie Guillemot addressed questions about his appointment in a Variety interview, stating, "Yes, I'm Yi's son. That's not something I hide from, but my appointment isn't only about family ties. It's about what Ubisoft needs at this moment. What matters now isn't my name, it's the work ahead." In late January 2026, David Michaud-Crump, a 13-year Ubisoft veteran and level design team lead at Ubisoft Montreal, who worked on Assassin's Creed Shadows, posted on LinkedIn criticizing the return to office mandate and questioning aspects of company direction, including Charlie Guillemot's experience. On January 28th, he received a 3-day unpaid disciplinary suspension for an alleged breach of the duty of loyalty. And I have that LinkedIn post right here, where it says, "Today I was terminated by Ubisoft, effective immediately. This was not my decision. I won't be discussing internal details or circumstances. I'm taking time to regroup and will share my next steps when appropriate." Ubisoft stated that sharing feedback respectfully does not lead to dismissal, but breaches of the code of conduct are addressed through procedures. And we also have a Kotaku article here where it says the Ubisoft Assassin's Creed dev fired less than 2 weeks after he criticized the company's plans to end work from home. And I believe this was part of that, why he was fired. So let's go over the article real quick. Ubisoft Montreal lead David Michaud-Crump has been fired just a few days after he was previously punished for publicly speaking out against the company's plans to force all employees to return to the office. Last month, Ubisoft ripped off the Band-Aid and announced a massive corporate shakeup as part of its 10-cent funded bailout. This restructuring led to multiple game cancellations, including the development of Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time remake, as well as more layoffs. Another part of the plan was that Ubisoft wanted all employees to return to their local offices 5 days a week. As reported by Kotaku, many Ubisoft developers weren't happy about this big change, including Ubisoft Montreal level design team lead, Michaud-Crump, who vented publicly on LinkedIn on January 23rd. 5 days later, he posted on site that he was being punished by Ubisoft for his comments and was given a 3-day unpaid disciplinary suspension. And now, Michaud-Crump tells Kotaku he's been terminated from Ubisoft. And there's his LinkedIn post essentially. And when asked about his termination, a Ubisoft spokesperson emailed Kotaku this statement: "Sharing feedback or opinions respectfully does not lead to a dismissal. We have a clear code of conduct that outlined our shared expectations for working together safely and respectfully, which employees review and sign each year. When that is breached, our established procedures apply, including an escalation of measures depending on the nature, severity, and repetition of the breach." And then it just goes into his benefits of working from home. And here we have another article here about the accusations about nepotism. Yves Guillemot addressed these issues in interviews. On the family aspect and appointment, Ubisoft was created as a family company, and our strong heritage helps us take a long-term view, prioritizing sustainable growth, creative ambition, and continuity over short-term cycles. This perspective guides our decisions and helps us build franchises, teams, and strategies that endure for decades. On the co-CEOs, He said, I strongly believe that Christophe Derenez and Charlie are the right leaders as co-CEOs of Vantage Studios, and I'm pretty sure that Tencent and their organization had no say in it at all whatsoever. I added that. They bring complementary strengths and experience that make them well suited for the role. Their appointment was based on their skills, track record, and fits for the role. He also confirmed in an active pipeline at Vantage Studios, including 2 new Far Cry games in development and several Assassin's Creed titles spanning single-player and multiplayer experiences. And this is part of their timeline. Vantage Studios includes teams from multiple locations and has thousands of developers focused on these franchises. This situation reflects ongoing changes at Ubisoft at the company, restructures amid industry pressures. So here are my final thoughts on all of this. I would say that altogether, I think that there might be a case here for nepotism, and not just because that it's a family-run company. I think putting your son in charge of something that he probably has, from what I can tell, doesn't have a whole lot of experience in the specific gaming industry. And he was at a company where they were just focused on web, NFTs, and AI, and he only had a bit of working on mobile when Ubisoft does way more than just mobile. If you wanted to put him in charge of like the mobile divisions, that would be one thing. But this is the huge money makers that Ubisoft actually has in their pockets. So I don't think that he's necessarily the right person for the job, and I would say that there is definitely an argument for the case of nepotism, but I really can't say for sure. Anyhow, that's the latest on the changes at Ubisoft and Vantage Studios, and the leadership decisions that are going to be shaping 3 of our favorite franchises in gaming. With the new games confirmed in their future pipeline, the coming months will show where this path is going to lead. What do you think? Go ahead and drop your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next gaming update. Later.